Yeah, so this is our Education Pro product, which is an on-premise system similar to the Vision product, whereby it will work along the school network. This product supports the main device types, so it does work with Windows, Chromebooks, Mac devices, and also iPads and Android tablets as well. With this system, it contains a whole host of classroom management tools alongside administrative tools for the network managers or the IT teachers at the school, and also some safeguarding and alerting features as well. So within my demo account here, as you can see, I've got some groups on the left-hand side of the system, which contain either computers or users. So they could either be computer-based or student-based, and it can sync with Active Directory as well. With this group, I've got all of these machines on the screen here, so I can see in real time exactly what all of my students are doing, and I'm able to control each device by simply clicking onto it and taking control. So if you need to assist anyone or provide any support, you are able to do so in here. It also has a chat window built in as well. So you can actually communicate with your students or staff members or colleagues within this control window to find out if they need help or what they need help with, and then you can go ahead and resolve the problems that way. In addition to the remote control elements, as you can see across the top bar here, these are some of the main features within the product. So just to touch on a few of the classroom management tools for teachers, you have the ability to lock the screens of the devices, probably very similar to what you are used to and have seen with the Vision products. So that works in a pretty similar way across all the device types. You also have the ability to do the same thing for the internet. So you can actually lock access to the internet through this tool as well. You can also mute the sound and disable USB storage devices. And of course, within here, you are also able to broadcast your screen. So I could share my screen to the student devices in here. As you can see, they now have my screen on their device. You can also share it the other way. So if you wanted to share a student's screen, then you can select their device from this list and broadcast the content from their screen to everyone else in the classroom. It does allow you to turn on annotation tools as well. So you could actually draw and highlight things on the screen if you needed to annotate the work that is on that particular screen. In addition to that, we also have the ability to launch websites on devices. So if we need everyone in our classroom to go to a specific device or website, should I say, we can launch that on everyone's device at the same time. So you just type in your URL and then launch the website from here. As you can see down here, this website is now opening on this browser and also this one over here. So that's a really good way, a really fast way to get the students onto a website where they need to be. And you can also do the same thing for files. So any file type that you want to maybe send a Word document or a PowerPoint presentation to the students, you can use the send file tool to be able to do that. So you can select the file from your machine and then choose where it gets saved on the student devices, and you can also run the file after sending as well. So that will actually open up on all of the devices straight away, rather than them having to try and find where that file is located. We can also send or utilize this tool to send and get feedback from the students about the lesson or a particular topic that we were learning about. So this allows you to send over a quick question to the students. which can be either specified as a yes and no answer type. So it could be a poll or a simple question. You can have written answers, or you can choose from up to 6 multiple choice options. So I can send that to my students, and if I was to complete this on one device, for example, it just closes down on the student machine and the teacher will be able to see the results. So they'll be able to see the student and the result they submitted. So it gives them a good idea of maybe who has been listening in the lesson, how much people understand a particular topic or a question. And again, this is something that just can be used as many times as you want. It doesn't get saved anywhere, so you can just simply close this down once the question has been completed. So they're just a highlight of some of the key classroom management tools within this Education Pro system. But in addition to those classroom management tools, you also have the ability to restrict what your students can access when they are on the devices. And you can do that by utilizing either the block list or the allow list. So the block list is where you can come in and you can add websites, windows, or applications that you want to block. So I could restrict my students from accessing the downloads folder, the control panel, maybe the calculator application as well, in addition to websites. So anything you want to restrict, you can add in here nice and easily. And then when you want to remove that restriction, maybe provide access to the likes of YouTube or the calculator, you can just simply remove those entries and the access will be back to normal. As for the allow list, what this does is it blocks access to every website that is not in this list. So if I only want the students to access, for example, My Maths or BBC, I can add those websites in here and every other website will now be blocked. So if there are maybe some research sites or maybe a YouTube video you want your students to access, you can type that in here and you don't need to worry about them going off task or onto any other inappropriate websites. Also on that alerting side, we can also configure keywords so that when they are typed in, for example, games or drugs, for example, whenever they are typed in, you can be notified and alerted to that incident within the software. So you can either receive an email notification or you could set up a notification within the desktop itself. So if I just try and connect to one of these machines, I'll try and show you an example of what that looks like. So what happens when this keyword is typed in, if we go back to the group settings, you can choose who needs to be notified when that is triggered. So you see this alert in the bottom right hand corner that does pop up. So that's one way of being alerted to it, but you can also add in your email address into here. So that you say when this is triggered by anyone in the group, this person here will receive an immediate email so they can look into it and respond straight away. You will also notice the device has turned red at the top, which indicates to us the student has accessed something that they shouldn't have. Okay, so we can actually go to that student or to that device and we can look in to see exactly what it was that they typed in at that time. So I've got the screenshot which was taken, which will allow me to see exactly their screen and the user that was logged on to that machine. This can be printed off, you can export that information, and you can go back in time to see previous incidents. So I would be able to go in to this tool called the log viewer, and I can go back to yesterday or the day before and see those incidents that took place on those days. You can also export that information. You can add notes onto it as well. And you can also look further in depth at individual students to maybe look at not just the captures, but also maybe what websites they have accessed, what applications they have used, and also the Windows history of that user. So that provides some good information on activity, usage, and what students have been doing on those devices. So in addition to those two parts of the software, you also have some administrative tools for the technical teams. So we've talked about the remote control element of the system already and how we can chat with staff and students and control their devices from within here. But what you are also able to do is, especially if you're using Windows desktops, you can schedule devices to switch on and off at a specific time throughout the week. So in our room here, we could say we want all of the machines to switch on at about 7:30 from Monday to Friday. And then at the end of the day, we want them all to switch off again at about 6 o'clock. So therefore, the machines will be switched off overnight when no one is using them, and that will save money on energy and obviously keeping the devices switched on in the morning. So it's a lot quicker for the students to log on to them rather than having to wait for them to be switched on to then log into as well. And you can generate some nice reports off the back of that to see device utilization or potential energy saving costs as well. In addition to that, the software can be used for deployment methods. So we can deploy MSI files out to devices using this deploy MSI tool here. You can also restrict printing. So if you don't want the students to be able to print more than 1 or 2 pages off a day, you can restrict all of that within this system here that we call printing credits. So you can actually assign students a number of credits that they can use throughout the day or throughout the week. And then finally, some of these computer management tools. So if you needed to, for example, push out a command to all of your Windows devices, you can utilize this command prompt to be able to do that en masse. So I can push out a command to all of my machines in this room, all as an administrator, even though the students may not have access to command prompts itself. And that same thing goes for the task manager, searching for files and event logs through the event viewer. You also have a unique tool with Impero called the Mimic script, which allows you to use this for any repetitive jobs or remote installations that you may need to perform. So what this allows you to do is replicate the keystrokes on all of the devices. So you could put together a specific key command sequence in here and then send it across to all of the machines. So it would just be like pressing the start key, maybe the tab button, the arrows down on each of these devices. So for install wizards, where you need to select the language and the location of where this file needs to be installed, you can go through all of that en masse using these commands. You can also use it to open up software. So if I wanted to open, I can use this tool to be able to do that on all of the devices at the same time. And then finally, within the reporting elements of the software, we can also run reports on the hardware and software components of your devices. So it will allow me to see for each machine which software products are installed. So we'll be able to see which version of Impero is installed, the installation date and location, and also the hardware components as well. So I'll be able to see how much memory is installed on the device, the hard drive space, which processors are being used, and also you can generate that information en masse. So if you wanted to see all of this information for all of the devices at the same time, you can run a report to see that. So if I wanted to look at the serial numbers of all of those machines, I can put that information in here. And as you can see, it's going to generate the PC name and then next to it, the serial number of that device. So rather than finding that individually by going to each machine in the school, you can pull it up within a few minutes within this inventory tool here. And then, of course, you can save it or export the information if you needed to. So that is a quick summary of the Education Pro on-premises system. As we went through there, it covers three main elements. It covers the classroom management for teachers, safeguarding and keyword alerting, and also some administrative tools for remote support and device management.